At the same time, around the world, those countries that own these hydrocarbons are increasingly using them to their advantage. You think you have a contract with a country, and the country cancels your contract, irrespective of what it says in the contract. They have a lack of respect for sanctity of contracts. We're seeing them actually not put hydrocarbons and gas, et cetera, out for lease because they want to keep it for future generations. We're seeing them subsidize it for their friends and charge more for their enemies. So we're in a very different market where this is the new leverage, this is the new tool. It's not necessarily what it used to be when we were in the Cold War. And right here, whether it's in Missouri, Texas, or anywhere else, we have a lack of qualified engineers. I was listening to, I think, Sandy's son is going into engineering, and he's going to have the pick of the litter in terms of what job he's going to take when he gets out. But we need more of them. We're not doing enough in universities and partnering with universities to sustain that intellectual innovation that we need. It's not just petroleum engineers. We need nuclear engineers. We need scientists. We need people that are going to develop the type of energy your grandchildren are going to be using, because it's nothing that we know today. And we don't have enough scientists. We don't have enough engineers. China is graduating more engineers than we are. We're graduating 75% less engineers than we did 15 years ago. That's unsustainable. That's a recipe for making us a third-tier nation. It's a recipe for economic uncompetitiveness, and we're willfully doing it. We're not looking long-term about what we need to do to get serious. And if there's nothing I leave you with today, please remember this. We used to be a country that was very comfortable with NIMBY. We used it, NIMBY, not in my backyard. NIMBY is a thing of the past. Now we are on to banana. Build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything. And unfortunately, I gave a speech to the guy was in the audience and he was in the back and he kept waving at me, and I was like, if you need to go to the ladies' room or the men's room, it's down the hall. But he said, no, I've actually got a much better one that I heard just the other day. It's nope, not on planet Earth. So we've gone from NIMBY to banana to nope. And that's a problem. We have great demands for electricity, yet don't build a transmission line in my backyard. Don't build a nuclear power plant. Don't build a liquefied natural gas terminal. Don't build a solar facility. And God, I don't want a wind turbine off my vacation home. We can't continue to do this. Otherwise, we're going to lose jobs and people are going to go somewhere else where they have electricity that is reliable, that is affordable, and it won't be here and it won't be in Missouri. So we've got to start thinking about this differently. It's not just an individual issue at the gas tank. It's not just a business issue as you look at balancing your books. It's a strategic national interest, national security issue for this country. So that's all sort of well, let me add a little bit more bad news. You guys were talking about China a little bit earlier today, I heard, and maybe you already know some of these statistics, but China builds 2 coal-fired power plants a week. 2. We build none. China is building 20 nuclear plants in the next 10 years. It is going to take, even the one, we have not built a new nuclear plant in this country in over 30 years. We have 15 applications pending in front of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It is going to take at least 5 years for them to go through the Nuclear Regulatory Commission licensing process, and another, at best, scenario, 5 years to build them. You know how long it takes China? 5 to do the whole thing, beginning to end. So we're going to be standing in line in Japan at the one manufacturing plant that manufactures the forgings for these nuclear plants. Everybody else is in front of us while we sit around and try and figure out how to get this done. We are way behind. China has 30 million cars on the road today. They're going to have 300 million by 2025. Are they going to be made out of steel, aluminum? What type of fuel are those cars going to run on? That has to actually concern us. We live in a very integrated energy market now. I like to remember the time it was about 18 months ago, when there was a governor of the Bayelsa state of Nigeria. You all have never heard of the Bayelsa state, that's okay. But he was in the UK on vacation, and he was arrested on corruption charges. He was corrupt as the day is long. He made the mistake of actually going on vacation to a place where Interpol knew he was going to be, and he was thrown in jail. Well, the price of oil went up $3 overnight. The Bayelsa state happens to be the state where there's a lot of oil resources in Nigeria, and the speculators in the market and the market traders thought there's going to be a supply, so there's going to be a huge strike there's going to be a huge civil unrest, and they're going to shut in another 500,000 barrels of oil in Nigeria. So overnight it went up $3. It's a psychological market out there, and that's what we're dealing with. Things that happen in far-flung places will have an effect in your local gas station almost immediately. And not to leave out India and single out China, India's appetite for oil alone has gone up 6-fold in the last 25 years. And we certainly don't expect that to stop with 8% growth on the horizon. So it's real, it's big, it's not going away. This is unlike the cycles we've seen in the past where oil went up and down and up and down. And we are very, attuned into the cyclical nature of this market, but the fall is not going to be as dramatic if it does fall, because you have other things propping up the price of our energy. China, India, the developed, it's not just China and India, it's Brazil. The third largest growing area for energy consumption in the world is the Middle East itself. So when they start selling less, it's because they're using it at home. So we're against all kinds of competitors, if you will, for these energy resources. But let's just talk a couple more minutes about what's happening in the market, because why is it when the governor of Bayelsa State gets thrown in jail that the next day you're paying a higher price at the pump when you shouldn't have to the very next day? Well, I mean, the person that is actually buying those hydrocarbons to replace what you put in your gas tank that day is having to buy it at that higher price. So there's an immediate impact. But basically, it's the basic fundamentals that we all learned in school. It's economics 101. It is supply and demand. And for those, whether they be in the Middle East or in our Congress, that want to say it is because of speculators, it is a gross exaggeration. Speculators are having an impact on the market, and I'll tell you how. But it's simply because we have constrained supply and unconstrained demand. And that naturally causes higher prices. We're paying the price of past decisions. We're paying the price of OPEC cutting production. We're paying the price because our country is closed for exploration production in many, many places. We're paying the price of Venezuela not being able to produce as much as we need it to produce. We're paying the price for Russia shutting off some of its production. So there are a whole host of decisions that have been made over the course of the last 10 years that we are currently paying the price for. It's not just because what happened last week. It is a buildup. And it's going to take us quite some time to undo this. It took a long time for us to get here, and it's going to take us a long time to get out. At the same time, even if we had more hydrocarbons, we have refining bottlenecks. We've only had very little expansion of refining capacity in the United States over the many years. The largest refinery that is being built right now in the world is in India. We do not have one single greenfield refinery being built here in the United States. So we've got geopolitical risk, we've got constrained supply, we've got growing demand, we've got OPEC bad decisions, we've got our bad decisions, we've got increased speculation in the market, because like any good trader, with something like this is ripe for volatility. And when do you make money as a trader, as a speculator? On volatility. So the more you speculate, the more volatile it gets. So what's happening is the price of oil goes like this. The speculators aren't causing it to do that. What they're causing it to do is this. It's still going to go up, irrespective of what they do. It's just the sharp peaks and valleys on the way up is what we can attribute to speculation. And we can't forget that we also have a declining dollar, which has forced a lot of folks to get out of stocks and go into commodities, which is further pressing that price up. So the real discussion is we are in a high price environment. There is no single solution, no quick fix, no panacea, and we're going to be in this for quite some time. Now,